Welcome, YouTubes, to the Vedius VOD reviews of SKT versus G2. I'm here live on Twitch, but you're probably watching it on the VOD, meaning that you're missing out on the Twitch chat experience. They ask thought-provoking questions such as, is green actually the color green? And what do you want your final words to be? To be involved is a part of this conversation, you need to head over to twitch.tv/VediusOfficial. Now, let's get straight into the draft, and after that, we have a special in-client VOD review experience for you all, so it's going to be pretty fantastic. So let's get into the draft. Let's frickin' go. G2 versus SKT. Alright, so what's going on? Let's just get through the bans real quick, and then we'll start talking about things. Everyone's excited. We're all happy to be here. We're all looking forward to this. Come on, let's get through the bans. Where are the bans? Here we go. Right, let's talk about the bans. So, SKT are on the blue side. The Syndra ban surprises me on first rotation. I don't think you really need to ban this because G2 don't normally pick Syndra in their first half. Normally they save it for second half. I guess because they're on red side, they could go for a third pick blind, which would be fine. But it's definitely a respect ban towards G2. That's why they're doing it. The Kiana ban is mainly because they don't want to first pick it. The Renekton is clearly a higher priority for them. And then the Quinn ban just cements that they really want to lock in Renekton. Pardon me. For G2, they ban away the Akali. I think Akali's a really strong, safe blind pick. The Elise ban surprises me a lot. I think the main reason is because G2 don't want to prioritize it, but at the same time, they're happy to give up Renekton, but they don't want to give up Renekton Elise. So I think that's the main reason for why it's banned, but of course it leaves like Ryze open. It also leaves Xayah, Rakan open. So like there are a lot of power picks obviously left up and available. But yeah, the Syndra ban surprises me quite a lot. I don't think they needed to ban Syndra. I don't think that she's so powerful that you really need to take it out of G2's hands. I just thought it was a little funny because Syndra was the champion that beat them in Game 5 of MSI Semifinals. So I thought that was quite funny. Anyway, Renekton first pick. It's not really a surprise. I'm not a massive fan of it, but I know pro teams consider it very good. I felt like in this series, G2 really didn't want to play it. And I'm pretty confident that G2 just don't like playing the champion anyway. But they recognize like what Renekton brings to a comp, and they recognize why it is strong in the current meta and why teams value it. They just have answers for it. So I think that's why they left it open. Of course, like it's pretty safe blind. There are obviously counters to it, and there are ways you can play around it, but they're likely just going to use this trade in order to get something like the Xayah, and I think they get the Ryze as well, which is very comfort for G2. The only game they lost versus Dalmon was with the Renekton. Yeah, exactly. They definitely were not fans of the Renekton. And then, so they could have gone Gragas here, but I think that the Ryze is a safer pick, mainly because you can actually put the Ryze into this, but also they're forced into a situation where they didn't want to give Ryze and Renekton. I think like when pro teams look at drafts, they look at like, okay, these are a bunch of champions that are really strong. Like, so Ryze is really strong. I mean, this champion's really strong. This champion's really strong. And like a lot of comps are considered, because of how flexible and adaptable these picks are, you can put them in most drafts, and you don't want to give away too many of them. So like, okay, we'll give away Renekton, but we'll get 2 power picks of our own. And like the impression I get is that at the highest level, or like pro teams in general, they like to trade power picks, and that's kind of how they see like high level drafts. So right now, this doesn't really give any indication of the direction that G2's comp wants to go. SKT, because Gragas is open, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they locked it in. Now, they could go for Nautilus here, or they could go for Kai'Sa. If they want to assure like a decent AD carry matchup into Wonder, then I think that this makes the most sense, but they also could have gone for something like the support if they wanted to lock that in, because then the problem with locking in Nautilus here is it would have given G2 a winning support matchup, because they could have countered it. They probably wouldn't have picked Rakan into the Nautilus. I can't say for sure, but they could have done like Xayah Leona, for example, and that would have been like, oh, well, this is... And then they would have banned Kai'Sa. So then these guys are now stuck with a Nautilus, and they may have banned like Kai'Sa Varus or something like that, which means that you then don't get to leverage the Nautilus, and he's in a losing support matchup. So they log in the Kai'Sa. I think this is fine. You've so far got like... You've got decent scaling with these two. You have top lane pressure with this and an easy lane to play through. I would consider banning out more top lane counters so that you can play through this harder. I mean, I know that this team is now going to play Leona, so I'm cheating a little bit, but I think that the focus of your bans now should just be to enable the Renekton as much as possible. Because if you're investing in this pick, then you want to make sure that it can win. Meanwhile, for G2, I think... Yeah, I mean, we see the Nautilus. I think they should have banned Leona as well, but I think they actually end up banning a mid laner, just in case SKT picks the... I think they banned the Trist, because they don't want to give Faker a matchup that he's actually really comfortable on. Because if they give the Trist, then they would have pushing top, they would have pushing mid, and then because they... Well, I mean, they would lose the Leona, so they would have losing bot, but they would still have 2 pushing solo lanes. So I can respect why they would do it. And as we talked about, you ban out the top laners. I'm not sure what other top lane counters, and I imagine that they don't know of any others, so they ban out the Olaf. This is fine. I think this is pretty good into Gragas overall. The Rek'Sai I thought was... So I think they go Rek'Sai because Elise is gone, Olaf is gone, Gragas is gone, and I get the impression that they're not super comfortable in his Lee Sin, because Lee was left up a lot, but G2 didn't actually prioritize it at all. And we've seen Jankos play Lee, but he didn't want to play it this series, which means that Rek'Sai was like his next best champion, I guess. But I think that what G2 now have is they should get themselves a strong bot side because they have Xayah Rakan. They have a pretty strong jungle mid duo because I think Ryze is pretty effective at all stages of the game. Maybe a little weak early, but overall I think he's fine. I'm just a little concerned about like how G2's comp scales. So we know they go for the Leona, which gives them a much better 2 versus 2 matchup. It's interesting because when you speak to Mickey, he says that he thinks that Rakan is fine into Leona because Leona can't ever do anything. Because if Leona ever tries to engage, you get to peel off. And if you engage and Leona goes onto your backline, it's very easy for Rakan to get back there. So Mickey thinks that good Rakan players should be able to beat Leona, which is funny because I think he plays the early laning phase really badly. But we'll talk about that when we get into game. So, I can't remember. He goes Nico here, right? Which is a super weird pick. So I think the problem with Nico, I don't know. I will skip it forward a little bit. I also think Kled is pretty good. Anyway, let's get to this point. So, just in terms of the matchups, I think Khan still pushes in this top lane. I'm honestly not sure who outscales in this situation. I think Wonder does, but I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with Kled into Renekton, but I think Kled outscales because of his W. And I think because you also have your passive, you know, with the Skull, I think it becomes impossible for Khan to ever really kill you. So I think Kled is overall a good pick because he can't be dived because of his passive, and he eventually outscales. But early on, Renekton will have push. In mid lane, I think this champion gets like no priority because her Q only actually wave clears if it kills something or if it hits a champion, which means Ryze gets like perma push. And I also think that this duo also gets push in this lane because even though Leona can approach the wave, I think that the wave clear from this duo is like way more potent than this. So G2 should have 2 pushing lanes. They have an easy lane that they can play through with bot, and then because they get prio mid, they can use that push to play through bot as well. It's a little hard because Leona isn't the easiest champion in the world to dive. But in terms of SKT's game plan, I think that with this duo, they would have wanted to play through top. I should clean this up a little bit because that's just messy. I think initially they wanted to play through top. They didn't know about the Kled pick, and now they can't. So now they need to change their approach to trying to play through bot, which I think can also be fine, because I don't think this is a terrible lane to play through. But one of the things I do think that SKT have is that this comp scales very well. This is very good in the late game. This is very good in the late game. I think this is a meat shield in the late game, and obviously in the 1v1 gets outscaled. But the bigger problem for them is these champions have strong side lane presence, and in a 5v5, this comp is also good. So I would ultimately give the comp edge to G2. I don't think it's the end of the world for SKT, because I think that this lane is overall still very solid. I don't think Ryze will ever kill this. I just think it gets push every time, and I also think this lane gets push. So like, I think this is fine. Like, yeah, I think the early game is fine, and I think both teams have options. I just think it's harder for Kled, because he has to try and successfully play through bot. And I don't really know what he can do in this lane. Like, I really don't understand what the point of this champion was. I understand that it's a comfort pick for Faker, but I'm not quite sure why it's supposed to be good into Ryze. Because I don't think her wave clear is... I mean, it gets better, for sure. Her wave clear definitely gets better as the game progresses. But I'm not really sure why you would do that. Like, in terms of the comp it, I think it's okay. You know, it synergizes quite well. But I think they could have gone for other things. So, yeah, overall, I think G2's comp has more options. And I think it scales better. Yeah, that's what I think. Lissandra would have been better into Ryze, you think? You think? I think it would have given you a little bit more control, but I think you still lose prio early, because Lissandra's wave clear is very weak early levels because of the high cooldown on her Q. I think maybe. Yeah, sure. I think you could have considered Cassio, because like most of this is pretty short range. And I think like considering all the dashes, the miasma would be pretty effective. I think miasma Cassio could have maybe worked. Maybe. Anyway, that's what I think about the drafts. Let's now jump into the actual game. We have access to the game. Ooh. So we're in the game right now. I've got to turn the music back up a little bit. The music is fucking loud. Alright, so let's play. We have control of the camera. We can do whatever we want.
Here's a magic trick. Ta-da!
And we even have sound effects. Great. So, G2 Esports versus SKT. Can I still draw on this thing? I think so, right?
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
I kind of wish I could zoom out a little bit more. I can't remember what the thing was to zoom out more. Anyway, I'll see if I can figure it out for the second game. Either way. There's a interface. HUD scale. Don't know what this... I can't remember. Is this what I want? Nope. I would like this all a little bit smaller though. That's better. That's better. You guys can still see everything, right? Minimap scale. We can make this bigger as well. But I can't remember how. Anyway, irrelevant. Right, so we talked a little bit about it, right? I should still be able to draw. Haha, I can still draw nice. Can you? Oh, you can't see the drawings. You can't see the drawings. Wait. What if let me try this. Okay, if I do... Now you can. Hell yeah. Alright, I fixed it. You can see the drawings now. Nice. So, Gragas initially probably wanted to play through top, right? He wants to play through the Kled. So we can jump on over here, right? He probably wanted initially to play through top side, play around the Renekton, maybe get a bounce off, whatever. But his plans have changed, right? So now what he wants to do is he wants to do a clear on the full top side, right? Clear through this, probably do his red, and then he can either look to base, or he can just do a full clear side. Pardon me. So that he can hover around bot. Because now bot is probably going to be the lane that he looks to play through early. He needs to be careful and cover in the event that Jankos looks for a play bot. And also he has to be cautious of any kind of early roams from caps. Meanwhile for Jankos, he's probably going to be looking to do the same. He'll start on top side. He's put a little ward down here to see if SKT try to do anything sneaky. And so he'll do a full clear top, and then he'll either base or he'll look to go path into bot. Actually, what am I talking about? He probably, well, he could do a full clear top side, but he'll probably do red into wolves, into Krugs, into blue, into bot side. At least that's what I expect. Because I assume that early on, Perks and Mickey should have prio, which means Jankos should be looking to play for bot scuttle. At least that's what I think. So we can double speed through this. We can watch the junglers. We can watch whatever you guys want, really, which is pretty cool.
Minions have spawned.
So you can see that SKT do a bit of a cheeky invade here. They get a bit of vision down. Gonna start on his red, get a bit of a pull. That's fine. Meanwhile, the Gragas is gonna be starting on his Raptors. So what I wanted to actually keep track of was this. Because this trade was not very good. So, early levels, you would imagine that it's a matter of like pushing, right? So one of the things you have to bear in mind is the effort, because he has Relic Shield, can help clear the waves slightly faster. Which means that at very early levels, SKT should in theory actually be able to get the push. But I feel like the 2v2 should overall be stronger. But Mickey positions to try and zone them away, but obviously there's no follow-up from Perks because of his positioning. So he ends up getting engaged on. He loses a lot of HP, which is okay initially, which is okay. Perks uses this as an opportunity now to trade himself, but what he's not respecting is the cooldown of E. He plays very far forward, effort closes the gap, and then they get a really good trade. So you can see how already, very early on into the laning phase, Perks and Mickey, they're not playing this 2v2 super well. Like, they've lost a lot of health. He's already forced to use his health pot. It's not the end of the world, but it's not a great start. Especially losing heal at level 1, right? And I've got to pay attention to literally everything, because I'm in control of the camera. Ah! So Jankos is doing a full top side clear, whereas the Gragas is doing a full bot side clear. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, you can see that a wave is slowly stacking up in favor of Caps. That should push in his favor. Interesting, he's actually going to ward top side. Oh, also, I said that Gragas would start topside, but I was wrong. He started on Raptors, he decided to go through a bot side clear. This is a much more conventional Gragas clear, very normal, very standard, nothing out of the ordinary. I thought that he might want to start topside to path towards bot, but that's not what he's doing. Notice that Jankos is avoiding the ward here that he knows was placed here, choosing not to do his Raptors, but he should be able to do the small wolves here, and I believe he should get level 3 off them as well. I'm trolling. There you go. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway, back up into the top lane. You can see that Khan has push. Caps also has a wave stacking up, and he's zoning Faker away. And then he's going to go for an early recall to grab him. And now Jankos is 3, because he only has to do 3 camps, because obviously he did Krugs, right? So he's now looking for a gank bot. He understands that there's probably a ward there. He's going to spot him out. You can see how the wave is now a little bit better for Perks and Mickey. Once they get a few more levels under their belt, it's easier for them to gain push. Damn, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Gragas is moving up towards top side to secure the scuttle, because they end up trading scuttles between the junglers. Renekton has constant push in this 1 versus 1 in top side. Okay, looks for a bit of a gank in mid, but Caps is just going to use that to reset. I'd be very surprised if they set up a dive bot. Yeah. I like what Mickey does here, though. So sure, he takes a bit of a bad trade, but he uses Guardian to body block, and then he uses the Xayah recall to go back to base. So mid resets, bot resets. Everyone's happy. Right, Kled, meanwhile, is sitting underneath his tower being like, well, this sucks. This is kind of what you expect early against the Renekton. Nothing too out of the ordinary, right? forget that I have 4 times zoom on this thing. This is crazy. Alright, let's have a look at what SKT can see. And let's see if I can figure out how to change the blue team frames. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. Minimap. Target frames. I can't remember what the vision button is. Give me a sec. Hotkeys. Camera controls. Which one is the vision? Center camera interface. Oh, toggle fog of war. Here we go. Set fog of war for blue team. F1. So F1. There we go. Okay. So I'm curious as to how they gain information of where the Rek'Sai is. Oh, that's how they gain information on the Rek'Sai. Very straightforward. They know where he is, but they don't expect that. So of course Mickey after his base. See, we got caught off guard. Wait, did I? Oh, okay. I realized what just happened. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, all right. Let's backtrack. So what I originally wanted to showcase was how they got vision on Jankos. Okay, so they use the vision plant to spot him out. They're saying that he could be here or here. Just bear that in mind. Unfortunately, there's no button, so every time I press F1... Right, I'm going to have to change these. I'm going to have to really quickly... This is going to be the weirdest recording VOD review ever. What can I change these to? Set Fog of War blue. Let's... Numpad? Yeah, let's use this. Oh, nice. Wait. Can we do num1? Oh, nice. We can do num1 and we can do num2. Perfect. Set fog of wall, num3. Perfect. There we are. So now we should have... There we go. Okay, perfect. So this is what I wanted to showcase. So what you'll notice, right, is that Mickey has recalled with perks, but he hasn't returned to lane. So where is Mickey? Well, of course, he is sitting in this quadrant of the map. But of course, we know that they can't see him. Okay, now because he reset first, they know that Effort won't be in a position to counter just yet, and he hasn't been spotted yet, which means that what he's going to be able to do is set up a great play with Caps where he's going to land the E. It's going to look like a bit of a bad trade, and then he flashes into root. The knockup is really good. The problem here, the very small problem, and this is well played by Faker, his reactions are really good. So you can see that Mickey takes one step too close to the tower, and then Faker with a quick reaction is able to double bind them both. So even though it's initially a kill, there should have been a 1-for-0. Now of course in this trade Cap spends his flash, and remember the Effort is also in the roam. So he's now making his way up. And because they know Mickey is dead, they now they have information on Jankos. But then Effort can come mid, he can use his flash, and they can get a kill. And this was a bit of disrespect coming out from Caps. Also, these game times are quite loud. So, Khan using his pressure up top to be able to try and steal stuff away. Damn. So this is pretty good. I think that because of how strong Khan is and because they know they can, and Jankos is quite squishy early on, they can look for a kill here. They also have push in mid because the Ryze is dead. And then they dive onto Jankos. They can't quite find the kill, but I'm surprised they didn't steal these away. There you go. It's fine. I think now they're getting super greedy by sticking around a little bit too long. Yeah, I'm actually not quite sure what he's doing right now. Threatening a dive, I guess, because Nico is in a position to collapse as well. And you can see that they can't see anything, right? So Wonder's just afraid. But the advantage of his champion is he can't get dived. Now, of course, the Zyra can't know that they don't have jungle presence, so they can keep pushing in bot. So that's absolutely fine for them. Alright, so we're 6 minutes in. Alright, we're 6 minutes in. Oh, it's warm. Alright. We're 6 minutes into the game. Let's think about what both these teams want to do next. Oh, so you guys can all see the minimap, right? Drake would be one of the obvious plays. Herald doesn't spawn for another 4 minutes. So these two objectives probably aren't what you're going to be focusing on. There's no need to go for them this early. Summoner spells are down here, here, here. So G2 could look for a potential gank bot lane. They could also look for another gank mid lane. That's one option. For SKT, they know that Jankos doesn't have flash. They know that Caps doesn't have flash. But everything else is up for everyone else. So with no TP, honestly, there aren't a huge amount of options. But mid lane would be one of the easiest places to set up a play. I'm going to leave it on directed camera and see what happens. Mid lane would be one of the easiest places to play through. Because of the lack of summoner spells. But that doesn't mean you need to force something. Oh man. I think Caps actually just wasn't paying attention. I actually should have been able to see this. So, because Caps gets back to lane first, right? Oh, this is annoying. Right. Caps gets back to lane first. He pushes this wave in, forcing Faker to catch it. He knows that neither of them have teleport, which means that he gets to move first. They recognize that the bot lane is slightly overpushed, so they tried to set up a 3-man play on bot side, even though the Rek'Sai is top. This is why these two feel confident pushing this, because they know that Jankos is here because he just cleared out this ward. So the idea behind this play from G2 is quite good. The problem that they have is this guy interrupts, and I think Caps in this situation is literally looking bot so that he can ult. He's literally doing it right now. So he just doesn't spot him, and it's not until he gets interrupted that he realizes, God damn it. He's then forced to disengage, as these two, assuming that a Rise would show up, get engaged on. Now this initial trade isn't even that bad, and then it ends up really bad, because Perks obviously isn't able to focus Teddy. And this is where I think a lot of chaos starts, because Caps then tries to all-in Effort, who I think doesn't have Aftershock. Yeah, it's on cooldown, because he already used it on the initial engage. But he's like, should I waste all my resources trying to kill Effort when I should really be getting onto Teddy? I think he should have just tried to kill Effort in this situation. He doesn't have flash. There's no way that he gets out. The Aftershock is gone. His W is still on cooldown. Like, it's still on cooldown for... Yeah, I think his focus should have been on trying to kill Effort. But instead he tries to kill Teddy, and I think that ultimately leads to his downfall. And these two can't rejoin because they lose health. So that whole play gets interrupted because of Klid's positioning. And he wants to be on the bot side of the map anyway. Like, if we go back... Further than this. So, right now we're looking at everyone's... So I can't say for certain that G2 know that these camps are up, right? But the moment Caps, when he roams down here... Right? So when he comes to here, Caps should recognize that the Raptors are up. Which means that Gragas is likely pathing bot because he needs to clear his bot side camps. So I think that Caps is either assuming that Gragas is still in base or is somewhere else on the map, or I don't know. But I think like this alone should have been evidence to suggest that Klid could be in his bot side jungle or on his way to the bot side jungle. I guess that's also why Caps takes this path, thinking that this would be the safest path, and he's just not expecting Klid to be here. But I think there was information that he could have gained, that there's a potential jungler in my half of the on the bot side of the map, but also like Klid, he was always going to path this way because these were the camps that were up. Like, it's like this idea that Jankos started topside, You could also go back to the fact that Jankos did start topside, Reds is spawning soon, and these camps are more likely to be up. I mean, yeah. So I think there was enough information for Caps to be able to discern that jungler should have been bot side. So you can criticize Caps there if you want. Like, he could have played that better. And I also think he could have played this better. So things are looking pretty good for SKT. I think that the fact that they've now found a pretty big advantage in bot lane is pretty good for them, obviously. Yeah, this is freaking hard. I don't know. So let's do this. And yeah, so they have an advantage mid in terms of gold, especially considering Caps just died. He's now going to be down in experience. He's going to lose a wave. He may even lose a plate. But I think Faker's not going to take the gamble. And they get a nice, good reset. Whew. All right. So let's fast forward a little bit more. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's going on here, Brooks? Oh, this is a pretty good Hex Flash from Effort, he says, as he kind of like flashes nowhere near. I think Perks just approaches the wave against Teddy when he shouldn't have. Press the attack plus... Ooh. I think that would have killed him. Yeah. Bit of disrespect there from Perks. I mean, honestly, I think he's been punished pretty heavily so far in this laning phase. He hasn't had the best lane. I don't think this collapse is super great. Yeah, and I think G2 recognize it as well. Because they don't have an AD carry, even though Teddy is low on mana, Perks is completely irrelevant and wants the base. So, while this might look good initially, the reality is SKT was in a much better position to collapse. So, G2 should have backed off, and it was smart of them to do so. I'm just gonna... Alright, I'm going to leave it on directed camera now and see what happens. So I kind of want to get to 10 minutes and think about like what the next steps are for both these teams. And like look back at the win conditions and think about the state that both these teams are in. So you can see people are timing things like cooldowns. Okay, so... Where do I start with this? So what SKT want to do is to be able to contest this blue buff. Now, of course, there's no wave that they need to catch right now, so they're fine to do this. The problem is they don't have push in bot. It's also already been started, but they can obviously see this because of the vision. Now, I think that it's they're not really going to be able to gain much off the back of this. And he wastes his ultimate to try and steal this away. Valiant effort, but that's a pretty long cooldown. This actually gives G2 an opportunity to try and force something now, because they know that they will have an ultimate advantage, right? So, Ryze is forced to take the long way back, which guarantees Faker prio in mid. But of course, he's now recalling on awards, which should give... I think Jankos could have actually just let that happen, and then they could have gotten a Drake for free. Oh, they're going to get the Drake for free anyway. Well... Yeah, they're gonna get the Drake for free. He's literally just being obnoxious. Wait. Drake. Wait. Drake. What? Why would they not do Drake here? What reason do they have for not doing Drake here? This would be like the perfect time to do Drake. Like it's 9:30. You could take Drake, you could push another wave, you could reset, and then you can set up for Herald. This is the freest Drake in the world. So like I still think they could have just let Clid base here, because then you know that he's backing. This is a free Drake. I don't know. That was a free Drake. They had prio bot as well. I don't know, fam. Like, look at these two. Look, what are they doing right now? They're literally just dancing. They could have duo Drake. I'm so confused. Now that they see Gragas top, now they decide to do it. It must have just been because they had no information of the Gragas. It must have been. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, I don't know if jungler is still around. And they're like, oh, bot lane could contest. Mid lane's still here. I don't know. I can only assume it's because they weren't confident in where Clid was. And he's... See, the fact that he's not here, they're like, whoa. Maybe it's dangerous. But I definitely think they could have done it. Now they see him, they're like, oh, we can do Cloud now. But of course, I think the bot lane for... oh, they didn't decide to swap. Okay. Alright. See, but like, you just concede Herald then. Because they know the Drake has just gone down, which means that he's on his bot side camps, probably. So they can now just get this for free, which is way more valuable than a Cloud. I mean, do I think G2 is strong enough to fight at Herald? No. But do I think that they can swap first and have numbers advantage there? Yes, I do. I also think it's easier for them to gain prio in mid lane. So I think they conceded this objective when they didn't need to. Now the problem for Khan is, if he'd kept this wave, they could have secured this tower, which would have been really big for them. But he didn't. It's not the end of the world. So let's think about what they want to do next. So, give me my pen, my drawy tool. So no flash on Teddy, but summon spells everywhere else. Summon spells everywhere. So everyone has everything, basically. There's no Drake to play for. There's no Herald to play for. Clid probably wants to play for top plates, as we were just talking about. I think he just reset, and while his bot side camps are respawning, he doesn't care because he wants this top plate. So, okay, he is already pathing top. So yeah, he's probably playing for this. G2 need to be in a position to answer bot side. They do have a wave here, but Perks is resetting because he's low on mana. He doesn't have TP. He probably has enough gold for... Let's have a look. He probably has enough gold, yeah. So he wants to upgrade his item to Essence Reaver. So because of this, though, SKT gain a lot of control of the map because G2 won't be able to respond on the bot side. Because the moment they take this top tower, they can then push the wave further, making it easier for Renekton to move, and he can either hold mid to allow Nico to go bot, or he can just group with the team, forcing the Kled to stay top and catch these waves. So I think right now the map state is better for SKT. Remember, in terms of scaling, I do think the G2 do outscale later on into the game, but mainly on side lanes. I think in choke points they can win. But yeah, we see the Herald top. So the fact that they see the Herald top, you can now see these pings coming through. So if we just go back real quick, you can see that mid is being pushed in. Ryze is now roaming to bot. Jankos, I don't think he should be doing Raptors. But good respect coming out from Teddy and Effort to disengage from the tower, recognizing that they're going to be at a numbers disadvantage. The cool thing about this play as well is because you know that Caps is going to make his way bot, you could actually catch him in the rotation. So they could be in a position to maybe even find a kill and slow this push down even more. Look at this. Yeah. And then they all in and they force the stamina spell. This is super good from SKT. I like this a lot. Because, like, you know what the play is going to be. You know that the moment these guys get spotted top and the Herald is here, G2 will try to trade on bot side. And a lot of bot laners would just disengage. But Teddy and Effort actually move through the jungle in order to try and catch G2 on the rotation. Oh, and of course they see Jankos here, which helps a lot. that definitely helps a lot. So they know they're here as well. So they find this collapse. But I still like the play. I think it's good. And now they actually gain prio over mid. So not only do they already have prio over top, they're also in a position to push this mid wave as well. There's a spot from SKT. They're definitely playing the early game a lot better than G2 are in game 1. They can push that in, steal away the camps, steal away the reds. He's going to try a TP flank, but they can't really engage on this. And Rakan is going to base to help join the team while they just funnel more gold onto perks. Wonder gets a little low. Yeah, all these camps just get stolen away. Good stuff from SKT. This is really good stuff. So Ryze is going to try and get some plates back. But of course, Xayah can't overstay bot because obviously he could have died.
Turret plating will fall.
Okay, so SKT's in a pretty solid spot right now. So let's think about what these teams want to do next. So we don't have the dragon timer, unfortunately. And I can't remember when it was taken. I think it was like, it should be spawning soon. I think it's soon. And it's Infernal. So this is definitely the objective that these teams want to play around. So for SKT, what you're going to be seeing is Khan pushing this wave up as much as possible to constantly keep a point of pressure on the map. Pardon me. You're going to have multiple people here holding the wave because Nico, I don't think, has enough wave clear. Not at this point in the game. Oh, maybe she does. Maybe she does. Well, I can't tell what level. I think Faker's not level 7. I'm pretty confident like Faker's actually level 9 or 10, which means he should have enough wave clear. Yeah, because he's got 5 points in his Q and he's got 3 points in E. Fucking Nico. So they should be looking to push with mid, and then they want to try and gain control of a bot. So bot tower is probably the next objective that SKT want. Because by taking this, it makes securing Infernal a lot easier. But you can't gain mid prio. So you need numbers, which is why these two are here, to come mid to help push. And then because you already have control, because your bot lane is here, you can then move to play towards bot side. And you have information on where the Xayah is, because you just saw her. What's interesting is that G2 actually send the Xayah top. Which doesn't make any sense to me. Why did they send Xayah top? So he comes mid. Sure. He can't really go bot lane. I get that. That's fine. And Ryze doesn't have TP. But you know Drake is the next objective. So you want a little bit more control around the bot side of the map. Yet they send the duo top. Maybe because they know they can't contest Drake, so they don't bother trying. Instead, they want to be able to threaten this top tower and trade it. But like, this is the bot tower that we were talking about that SKT wanted to play for. And look at all this vision that they have. Pretty good. So yeah, they get bot tower. G2 then going to try and trade it for top. And Dragon's going to be spawning in a minute, and SKT have all the vision they need. Oh, and this is when the frickin' play comes. Okay, this is when the thing happens. So throughout this whole play, let's look at it from the perspective of SKT, okay? So, I need to back up a little bit more. So they know they can take bot. They can't really see anyone, but they have full vision of the river. So they're like, we're really fine. Alright, oh, we see Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai's top side. We're super fine. Okay, we're good. We can do a quick reset, and we want to replenish our wards. You know, like, you can see Sightstone now completed for effort. This is just their focus. They're just like, okay, we now need to want to set up towards Drake. They now see the Ryze coming top, and SKT's thought process is, okay, G2 is now going to make a play for top side, so Khan disengages because he just sees the Ryze, okay? So SKT's thinking, okay, this is fine, there's Rek'Sai, okay, they're just here for the top tower, they'll probably try and steal away our blue buff, yeah, this is fine. Okay, this is absolutely fine, just like, okay, yeah, not a surprise, okay? So then, SKT, I'm actually surprised the effort is here. I'm surprised he's here. Because this is dangerous, because you know that all of G2 is topside. Like, you could be face checking into a Ryze right now. I guess because it's Leona, it's not the end of the world, and Kai'Sa is close enough that she could ult and turn it around, but I would say that this is a little risky from effort. But okay, fine. He clears out some vision. Okay, so because SKT have full control of the bot side, they can assume that Kled is around here, and they know that G2 was topside. The assumption now should be that G2 is looking to collapse in mid. This should be the assumption. And that's why they push in and then they path bot. Because they're like, okay, we'll help secure Infernal. And then they're like, wait, what? Why is Ryze here? Why? Yeah, I can't blame Khan for this. Because it doesn't make any sense. Like, why is he here? But of course, G2 is thinking, we're probably not strong enough to fight for this, nor are we in a good position. So, when we backtrack to, like, here, right? Oh, it's probably later than this. And they send the Xayah top, okay? I think the whole point of this was about, we can't contest Drake. And I wonder how far in advance G2 were thinking. I wonder if they reacted to this or if this was all part of their long con where they were like, okay, we'll have Xayah set up a dive in the tier 2. Because if they did think that far ahead, then that's like Omega brain. You know what I mean? I don't know if that is the case. I can't confirm. But you can obviously see like they're playing towards top side and they don't want to try and take a fight right now because they recognize how strong the Renekton is. They realize Kai'Sa's already got this. A team fight versus this guy. No. We don't want to fight that. So then these two push mid. They threaten top. They're like, okay, help Xayah, get the tower. This is all good. And again, like, we're looking at this from SKT's vision. I still think this is a little dangerous from effort, but he wants to get vision here and the potential flank. Okay, that makes sense. So look, you can see the pings. They're like, watch out, watch out. They could come in through here. And I don't blame Renekton for this. Like, why would 4 people be here? And it's a cool play for sure. And I think in the situation that they were in, it's the best play that they could make. Because you put Khan behind... you get a very valuable kill. Okay, that was weird. You put Khan behind and you get a little bit more control over the map in exchange for the Inferno. You don't want to give up the Inferno, but overall, I think it's a very solid play. Now, though, they need to collapse back into mid. So let's look back at the whole vision. Now the potential collapse comes through. I think they actually saw that. I think they saw the realm war. I think they did. Because I saw pings. Yeah, they see it. They see it. They're like, ping, 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 get out. Nope. Some good use of the realm wart there from G2. To then reclaim some control back over mid. That was a cool play from G2. It just shows like their ability to think things through and recognize when they should and shouldn't fight. And what's impressive is they're now back in a gold lead. Alright, I need to put this back on. So, let's stop for a second. Sorry, my wrist hurts a little bit, so I'm putting this on. So, let's think about what they want to do now. Okay? So, we're only 16 minutes and 40 seconds in. I mean, mid tower would be the obvious play that you're looking for, and G2 probably want to play for bot tower. But I don't think they really need to force anything at this point. I think G2 just kind of want to wait and scale. I recognize that I've taken like 40 minutes already, and we're not even at 20 minutes, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. Interesting, wait, why did he... Oh, that's why. Yeah, he could have died. He could have died. I respect it. So yeah, we can see SKT. I really like this from SKT. So push in bot, rotate to mid. You know there's no need to wait to catch the wave top. I believe in terms of the early game, I think SKT have played this early game very well. Very, very well. All 3 outer towers are down. They use their pressure very well. Very good stuff from SKT. Very, very good stuff. It's very clean League of Legends, you know? Very clean. And I think Perks and Mickey honestly had a pretty poor laning phase as well. I think they made quite a few mistakes. And my biggest critique of G2 is not taking this Drake. This is something you see G2 do a lot, by the way. So let's first look at the state of the map, right? So in this situation, there's no reason to be top. However, Jankos can invade top because he has vision here, and he has vision here. The only thing he doesn't have is mid prio, right? But he has a ward here to give him information on who is where. So it's actually pretty safe for him to do this. There's also nothing for him to be playing for on the bot side, so just denying camps away from Clid is not a bad thing to do. This from Jankos, absolutely fine. For Ryze though, where's he supposed to be? What can he even do? So what he does, and what G2 often do, is they'll... when I think back to this year, Vitality was one of the first teams actually saw this do this. I'm not saying that they invented it, but Vitality was one of the teams we saw do it early on with Cabochard and Jizuke, where you would send both the solo laner, both solo laners into a single lane. Origin did this quite a lot, and we also see it from G2. But the whole point is, because like there's so much pressure being generated topside with this wave, and because 2 towers are down, it gives you a lot of time to move. And it means that if Renekton ever tries to engage on you, or even if he doesn't, you can set up a play on a side. And it guarantees the extra bit of safety, because it doesn't mean the jungler has to hover, but, like, Caps isn't wasting his time here, because there's nothing else for him to get. And, like, I like that this from Khan, this is playing good weak side of the map, because you recognize jungler is top, you recognize Faker is top, you know where your teammates are, and, like, the only reason why Kled is pushing this far up is because someone might be here. So he's like, okay, I'm weak side, I'm going to respect it, I have to concede the tower. So G2 get a tower back. Now they keep looking for this though. They keep looking. But like maybe we can catch him out. And now Caps can catch the farm. You see? So he didn't waste any time. This wave is now, like, it's still not in a good spate, because I actually think that's pushing towards SKT. But the Kled can now go back and he can actually look to push through top lane. Huh. I wonder why they're sending mid. Is it because the Xayah was just going to Krugs and they wanted someone there, maybe? Wait. I swear I just heard a round warp. Oh, never mind. I'm trolling. It's just sound effects. So, Drake is spawning soon. It is Cloud Drake. They're pushing in bot to set up for the play. But of course there's Baron, which is what SKT care more about. So now you can see Kled is playing weak side. He's taking the safe route round to group up with his team. They need to get prior mid if they want to contest the Drake. They have this one controlled in the back of the pit. SKT is saying, you know what, we probably feel strong enough to fight. So they want to try and come and challenge. The Leona is the one face checking, which is good. And then we get to see a bit of a skirmish. Let's slow the game down. Let's slow the game down. And let's have a look. So G2 recognize that SKT have to face check if they want to come to Baron, because they don't have push in bot. The Leona is the correct person to have face check. And then a good route lands onto Perks. He's forced to ult early. G2 is now split. This makes it easier for SKT to move into the pit. You can see that I was born to be an observer with my fantastic observing skills. Notice here as well. Notice here as well. Wait, why don't I just do this? This is what I want. Notice here that Teddy also has push in mid lane. So that they can move down, so that they have another point of pressure that G2 have to respond to. The questionable decision comes out from Perks down in the bot lane. Because Perks is actually going to look to try and push this wave into the tower and then disengage. And he doesn't respect SKT's ability to collapse. So they have the push in mid. The Drake has been started. They want to try and secure this one. And at this point, they need to recognize, okay, we're not in a great spot. They actually go for a bit of a collapse. Almost actually kill Mickey here. But now, Perks expected them to go on to Drake. He didn't expect a fight to start. He thought that they would just take this objective. But SKT realized, wait, we're in a great spot. Kled is nowhere near. We know where the Xayah is. We can just fight. Let's just go. So they get out. But Perks doesn't. Yeah, good decision making, honestly. From SKT. I like that they choose to go for the fight, because now they can just go straight back to get the Drake. The problem that they have is that top wave is pushing against them. Mid is also pushing against them. And I think Wonder... No, he's not going to run the risk. Faker takes a bit of a bad trade here. But this is also cool from Khan. I think he actually should have reset. I don't think he needed to stay here. Yep, and then they just push out mid and then they go for Drake. Very clean early game from SKT, honestly. Very, very clean. Wait, what was Wonder doing? Where did he even go? Did he go from mid straight to top? He must have. So this is the obnoxious thing about G2. Like, why the fuck is Kled doing this? He's just like, but why? But it's because he has information on where SKT are. And because Khan didn't reset, he has the freedom to just make this play. And it's these little things that I think G2 are very good at, which is just looking at the map state and realizing, oh, they're here, I guess I can just go do this. I can do this. And like, we saw Yanko stealing away these camps. Wonder's now going to do the same, just stealing these away. It's a little dangerous, but for the most part, they know where people are. And this is how they keep the gold even. This is how they get all this farm onto all their carries. Like, look. Caps has a farm advantage. Wonder has a farm advantage. He actually has an XP. Wait a minute, I missed the protecting kill. My bad. I'll look at that now. But like they're very aware of their positioning on the map, the enemy's positioning on the map. And you can see that SKT have played this early game way better than G2 have. They just have. Without a doubt. The lanes have been played better. Klid's pathing has been better. They have punished the mistakes from G2 better overall. And G2 have had to do these little weird things that are great to keep themselves relevant in the game, to keep the game state even. So I think like credit needs to be given to G2 for doing some of this stuff. Because I think it's quite impressive. Rise, by the way. Quite funny. But now the best thing for this guy is that because he knows that Renekton's dead, he can just push in top. So now the Baron dance starts to come through for both these teams. G2 I still don't want, I think, don't want to fight just yet. Like, they are quite strong, but I still think that they want to avoid a fight because they know that they're much stronger on a side lane. So the easier win condition is to just keep splitting up the map. But they want to keep vision control around this area, and they want to keep funneling resources onto perks. So we see here once again, there was nothing for them to do top, so they sent 2 people bot. They guarantee this tower. Now SKT, I think, should have forced Baron here. Okay. They could have forced Baron here to try and force or relieve pressure from the 2 people that were here. The problem is, if you start Baron, you end up in this game of chicken where these 2 people are like, okay, we can dive Faker because we're Kled and Rise. So, sure, you can start Baron, but we're going to take your inhibitor. So, if you don't clear it fast enough and these 3 interrupt you, it's alright. So, Baron, admittedly, a little risky. Maybe they don't want to do Baron. I'm not quite sure when Drake spawns because I don't have a timer, but... So they're not grouping for Baron. This was fucking weird from Wonder. Like, why did he do this? So this is G2's vision. This is Wonder's vision. This is what he sees. This is Wonder. I mean, to be fair, that hitbox... I don't think he was expecting to get hit by that, that's for sure. A little questionable. Because it cost him his flash. But okay, fine. Immediately the Rise goes bot lane. Another point of pressure on the map. So, SKT, I like this. Go straight to Baron. Now it's not 2 versus, it's just 1 versus. And they're like rising. They need to start it now. They need to start it. They need to start it. You need to start it. You need to start it. You've got to start it. No, not going to start it. Hello? Not going to start this. Huh. So let's think why they might not start it. There's got to be a reason, right? So, they have push in mid. They see Rise bot. The pings come through. This is the vision that they have, SKT. This is what they see, okay? So obviously they see everything. Right? They don't have super deep vision, but let's have a look at what G2 see. Nothing. G2 don't see anything. And Zaya's in base. Did they see the Zaya base? Where did Zaya base? So they don't see Zaya base. But they're like, Kled just flashed and uses ulti. This is surely the best time to start a Baron. And they're like, okay, we gotta get back, we gotta get back. They don't even get, they could have been doing Baron this whole time. That's probably why Cap stays here, because he's like, and then they're like, wait. They didn't start Baron. So, okay. Like, I imagine everyone watching this has like thousands of hours of League, right? That's what I'm led to believe. If you're watching a VOD review, you're probably interested in high-level League, okay? So, based on my experience in League of Legends, right? Based on their comp with the fact that they have a Kai'Sa, and I'm not trying to talk about a pro player now, this is literally just my experience. If I think they've started Baron now, right? I'm like, okay, that Baron, okay, it's probably lost about a quarter of its HP now. But now I'm like, wait a minute, Teddy's here. So now they're only 2-manning the Baron? I'm like, okay, they're only 2-manning the Baron. Well, that's not too bad, that's fine. But okay, it's probably maybe around half HP, probably a little bit higher than half HP. So I'm like, okay, if I'm G2, I'm thinking, I've got time, I don't need to push this. And then I'm like, wait a minute, they're not even on it. I don't know. But I don't know what the risk is for them. This is what I don't understand. Like, I don't know what SKT lose starting the Baron, because they're in the position of power. They're the ones that have mid priority. Wonder doesn't have flash or ultimate. Caps is trying to create pressure elsewhere on the map. So if SKT just want to answer, they could send Faker back now. He could just base. And he could catch this wave and nothing happens. But, like, yeah, so Rek'Sai being 1 level up, that doesn't matter though. Because the goal here is not to do the Baron. It's not to secure it. It's to create pressure, to force G2 into a decision. But G2's not actually threatened at all. There's nothing they have to be afraid of. So I don't know. Yeah, anyway. I don't agree with this call from SKT. I think they should have threatened the Baron more. Maybe there's something that I'm missing. Maybe there's something I don't see. But I think they could have been way more aggro there. Way more aggro. Like, look, they're still cautious. Okay, now they started. Okay. So now they feel more comfortable because they have Faker down here and he has TP. And now the Kled is coming. They don't know that the Kled is coming. But now they feel more confident. Not sure why, but they do. Okay. Now, obviously G2 know this because they get vision from the Rek'Sai Q. And G2, at this point, have committed to trading. They don't want to TP in and fight. So I think one of the problems for SKT with this Baron is that they don't actually have a huge amount of siege power because they're actually pretty short range. Their poke is okay, but their siege is not good, and there's actually quite a lot of wave clear between Ryze and Xayah. Which a part of me thinks that I wonder if G2 thought this is just like, it's fine if they get Baron. Because I actually think it is. Because if you trade it for bot inhib, all you then have to do is defend on both lanes. Because the super minions coming through here, sure, like you can push through this, but it's not the same amount of pressure that can be generated. Which means that G2 can concentrate their wave clear into wherever the greatest amount of pressure is being put. So they can stall out the Baron successfully. I mean, if they did, if that was the decision making, then I think it's pretty good. Either way, like, they trade inhib. I think this is a fine trade. But notice we're like 27 minutes in, and we haven't actually seen a single big team fight yet. Which I think is pretty impressive. But honestly, I still think, like, outside of that Baron, SKT have definitely played the better... I mean, the first Baron set. Like, they still ultimately get Baron, you know. And technically, it was a safer Baron. They then, of course, get Drake. Why the fuck are they here? What the fuck? Okay. Let's try and think about this from SKT's lane assignments perspective. Okay? So let's really think about SKT's lane assignments here. So they need to clear out bot wave. Okay? Faker does not win 1v1 in a side lane, and they want to play for Drake. Okay, so because they have to push out bot, and because they know they're playing for Drake, I mean, I think they could have just sent Faker to push out bot, but maybe they don't think he would have cleared it out fast enough, which is why they wanted Renekton. I mean, Renekton, I think, goes through these way faster than a Nico would. So they then send all these people bot side, and then G2's just like, oh, okay. Guess we'll just go But how did they get information of this? Is this just like... Oh, well, I suppose from G2's perspective, they're saying they have to be on Drake right now. And we just saw the Renekton pushing out bot. There's no reason for them to be topside. So from G2's perspective, it would be weird for SKT to be top. Which is why Caps thinks that this is fine, and he has Wonder flanking him anyway. So they push that wave in. So now there's only one wave that SKT can play through. And they also have to deal with this pressure and this pressure. God, G2's annoying. This team is so fucking annoying. Holy shit, man. Alright, but now they're generating... Okay, here we go. Here comes the siege from SKT. This is what they want. This is a horrendous engage. This is a horrendous engage from Wonder. Let's track him. Let's see what he does. So that he's thinking that they've caught out Gragas, but of course everyone from SKT is mid lane. He thinks he can get out safely, he dies. So now they can siege. But notice Caps has not stopped, he hasn't seen anyone yet, so he keeps pushing in this wave. This wave is also building up. Khan then comes out of the fog of war. I think Caps is like, I can take this is super fine. He doesn't respect that Cleared gets back, though. The Baron timer, I think, is what catches Caps off. In his mind, I really think Caps thinks he can win this 1v1. I think he could win it too. It's close, but I think he can win the 1v1. He just doesn't expect Jungler to come back. But then, of course, because Khalid has to come back, or whether he has to or he chooses to, regardless, he comes back. Which means that they can't continue the siege, so they only get one tower. So let's think about what happens next. We're 29 minutes in. The gold is pretty even. SKT know they're probably stronger in a 5v5. Probably. I think Renekton is like really beefy. He's got a level advantage over Wonder. Clit is stronger, offers way more in team fights than Jankos does. Faker is level 16. The Kais is nearly at 4 items. He also has a stopwatch. SKT is like, we can fight and we will win. So G2 probably never want to fight. They just want to play on side lanes. And they want to play for these inhib. And they just want to keep Perk's wave clearing. Like, you've also got to wait for the next objective to spawn, and I don't know when that's happening. So, Kled, once again, goes top. Covers for Wonder. What I find fascinating is it's never Yankos. It's always Wonder and Caps covering each other. I wonder why. It's really interesting. Yankos is useless? I mean, it could be. It could be that he's just too weak, you know? He's only level 13, he has a Sterax and that's it. You're probably right. That's probably the reason. He's just too weak. So, SKT is just waiting for their inhib to respawn, right? That's probably the main thing. So now Drake is spawning soon. Oh, so I actually think, wow, he actually got away with this. So you can see. Let's have a look at Caps' thought process here. Sorry, like I know this is like a little different from my normal VOD reviews, but because we get to see all these different perspectives, I think it's really compelling. So we're just tracking Caps now. Okay, we're only tracking Caps, and we have G2's vision. So he knows Renekton is top lane. So he moves with Kled to bot. He spots out Nico. Nico is mid. And he sees Leona. So he can now assume that Renekton is basing. Okay? That should be his assumption. Renekton is basing. SKT is probably bot side of the map because the control ward that is here, this one, tells him that Gragas isn't doing this or whatever. So he should make the assumption that SKT is bot side, right? Give me Caps. Okay. So he still has information. They're now missing. Caps should be backing off. He also knows his support is backing off. Wonder's also top lane. So he's fine though. Notice how he's hugging the wall. He's keeping distance. And he still has this vision. He gets information on where they are. So he goes back. Oh, this man's playing with fire, right? So he sees Teddy immediately and he's able to get out. I still think though. Yeah. And this is the problem. This is the problem. I think this was a super greedy play from Caps. And like, you guys can see why, right? You can see why. We looked at the information that he had available to him. Evidence suggests, based on the map, that there should be SKT members bot side. The risk of him getting collapsed on is very high. You just saw Leona here. Your support has just gone back to base. Wonder's not TPing into this. He should have backed off. He gets greedy. And then he gets collapsed on. That was a greedy play from Caps. And this is also super dangerous for G2 because that's now a long death timer and Baron is spawning. So like, they're pinging. G2's making a decision. What do we do? Oh, okay. Okay. So this is really important. Because those spooky ghosts would have spotted out perks. But all they do is spot out Yankos. So, let's toggle over to the SKT vision now. Let's toggle over to SKT vision. Right? So they see this, right? They see Kled on there. They have no idea what's going on in Baron. Okay? The spooky ghosts. Oh, wait. No, they do. They do. They see him. They see perks. Do they not see him? Because we're looking at SKT vision right now. They see perks. They must have seen perks. Or they didn't spot him. Or they didn't notice him. Because they don't realize that perks is right behind them. They think that G2 is now backing off away from the Baron. And then, of course, he gets caught. I swear they saw them, though. Or is a spectator trolling me? Because, like, that should see them both, right? He should have vision on them both. And, of course, he loses it now. But... And then they see Yankos. He thinks he's safe. And then he gets engaged on. Insta-kill. Holy moly. This makes up for Caps and his super greedy play. He flashes out. They've now got to disengage. Because the thing is, now it's 4 versus 4, right? And even though G2 probably... SKT still probably feel quite comfortable, Caps respawns first. And they've got to respect that. He also has teleport. so they concede prio. So now G2 get themselves an Infernal. Man, I'll convey my thoughts at the end of the game. Let's focus in on. Let's finish off this game. All right. So SKT get prio. They know that the Infernal has just been done. They know that there's no obnoxious sideways being pushed in, so they rush to Baron. Okay, Nico has teleport. They're gonna get this. They melt this too quickly. Whoa. Let's have a look. Let's slow this down. Can I? Wait, it's this, right? Oh, yeah. There we can see more. Hex Flash. Main cost. Holy moly. What an intense team fight. Let's just appreciate that for a second. What an intense team fight. So much is going on. So much is going on. Alright, let's go from the beginning. Let's do it step by step, shall we? Let's do a team fight breakdown. Okay, let's try and watch all the players here, okay? So let's start with Effort. Right, Effort is the engage. Okay? Effort's looking for perks, but he misses. Right? Mickey's now peeling, so he gets a knockup. Really good ultimate here from Perks to avoid the ulti from Leona, which could have stunned him, and Khan diving onto his head, right? Teddy is now invisible on the backline. His eyes are set on killing Perks. Mickey has now joined his side. These cooldown timers, I think, are a little off. Unless his ult actually isn't up. His ult actually isn't up. Damn, that's why he held onto it for so long. I thought Mickey was just super big brain. Oh, we also... Yeah, I'm still looking at this from SKT's perspective. The other thing was, Camps actually TPs to this ward, which I think was super bad, right? But the bright side is, because G2 backtrack into the enemy's half of the map, it actually brings them closer to Caps to put him in a better position to peel for Perks. So Perks just wants to focus the front line. The problem with SKT overcommitting here is that you can see how Effort is no longer in the fight, right? The Kai'Sa is now against two of the frontliners from G2 with no protection, and Khan is trying to solo kill these three people. So Khan gets zoned out because he recognizes he can't win this. Faker flashes over the wall to provide peel for Teddy. Stopwatch. Wonder is buying time. Stopwatches, so many stopwatches, right? But again, SKT's split up. Clid is too low. Where did Clid lose all his health? Let's have a look at that. Clid. Baron. 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 He ults. Okay, so the Baron kills Clid. Clid is actually useless in this fight. He does absolutely nothing. Okay. Faker flashes in. So this is actually like a 4v5. Okay? That's actually what happens. Okay? Ooh, so the positioning from... I like this from Effort. I like this. Because you get on top of... Oh, this could have been it. This could have been it. Like, this play right here is good. I like this a lot. But I don't think Khan has flash. Faker no longer has his ultimate or his flash. Teddy doesn't have anything. So this play actually doesn't mean anything. Perks gets to get out scot-free. Clid now is in the midst of everything with no flash. And while Wonder does die... Oh, Mickey. Look at this. His ult finally comes up. So look at Mickey here. Look at Mickey here. So he avoids the CC. And then the moment they overstep, he's going to proc his ult. He E's into flash, into knockup. Oh. Damn. What a great team fight. What a great team fight. And like ultimately it was, I think SKT just poorly executed the fight. They tried to force it too hard. They tried too hard in this choke point to force it. And like their positioning wasn't good. Like Faker used his abilities to peel rather than to threaten the backline. Like Renekton could not dive onto these champions. Like we talked about scaling in the late game, and I felt like in terms of damage, SKT would have the advantage, but the execution is extremely important, and you can see how difficult it is to dive onto this. Damn. What a great team fight. I don't think they can end though, right? Can they end? They can't end. Can they end? Oh, right. Realm Warp. Okay. I have the thing right here. Holy moly. What? What a great game. So, like, we got to think about this in summary, okay? SKT played the early game way better than G2 did. They just did. Objectively, they just did. They played the lanes better. They played with their pressure better. They played around neutral objectives better. Their early game, objectively, was just better. Right? What SKT couldn't deal with was the split map decisions that they were constantly forced into. Because G2 did not give them the team fights that SKT tried to force. Right? So G2 would force SKT into these really awkward situations where they always conceded things. And I have a lot of respect for G2, that Baron play where they gave up Baron completely to trade it for bot inhib, because they knew that they could defend and stall. And they recognized who was where on the map and how they could react. And this is something that I think needs to be given a lot of praise to G2 for, because even though they played the early game poorly, they made so many good decisions to compensate for all of the bad plays. Like, was it this one or was it this one? This play, like, in theory it shouldn't have worked. But the fact that G2 thought of it in the moment, like, oh, we know our positioning, we know their positioning, like, we can probably make this happen. Bang, got him. Like, plays like this, G2 do all the time. And, like, you can't account for all of them. And on top of that, they also team fought extremely well. Extremely well. Like, I think SKT definitely did not set that fight up very well. And I definitely think that they played poorly in that late game team fight, but I don't know. To me, it's like a double thing where I think that SKT did a lot of good things in this game. And in many ways, they probably could have been better set up to win. But at the same time, because of everything that G2 did, like, maybe I just don't have the knowledge. Maybe I can't see what SKT should have done in these situations. But, like, was it wrong for SKT to take the Baron rather than give up the inhibitor? Should they have actually fought to defend their inhibitor? Is that the wrong decision? I mean, in the end, like, you could argue that it was because they could never use the Baron properly. But in the moment, is that really the wrong decision? I don't know. I think, like, G2 have this really creative way of trying to force you into making these choices, which is very obnoxious and difficult to deal with. So, oh, that was a great game one. That was fun. Trying to use the spectator tool is weird. Hopefully it was more insightful. This was a very long review, but I'm hopeful that we also got to, like, look at some of the individual decision making. We definitely saw a lot of mistakes from Caps this game. We didn't really get to see much from Jankos. We saw Perks and Mickey have a pretty poor laning phase. We saw some of the indecision that SKT was faced with, but often they had more information on the map. Yeah, overall game, I hope it was interesting. We'll try and continue this with the rest of the VOD review, but anyway, thank you for watching. I'm going to stop the recording now. You can check out the other stuff on my YouTube channel. See you in a bit.